Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started so that we can kind of keep this meeting brief because I know we're all kind of going crazy, especially with the park testing coming up. So before we begin, I just kind of wanted to give you guys a brief overview of this month and what's going to happen because of park testing. On March 11th, we'll have our regular meeting because we need to discuss the implementation and our metric and how close we are getting our metric. But we're going to kind of keep that meeting a little bit shorter, and we're going to talk about things that we can do during park to continue working with our strategies, but not necessarily doing the whole collecting of the data. So just really looking at maybe different ways to use it and then just seeing how that worked. And then on March 18th, it's going to be just an email check-in because depending on what everybody's schedules are, we may not have a lot of time with the students that we're trying to collect data with. So we're just going to do an email check-in to see how those things are going. And then on the 25th, we're going to talk maybe about if we've met our goal, if we need to find a new teaching challenge, or if we're going to continue with this teaching challenge and choosing just a new strategy. So that would be our time where we're going to kind of switch strategies, maybe try something else, or just try a new teaching challenge. And then we'll be off for spring break.
Yay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
I know that was quick. We'll email that all out to you. Okay. So to begin with, let's just go down the row here and talk about the strategy and how it's going. So Sarah, did you want to start?
Oh, sure. It's kind of on the fence. I feel like some days they do really well and other days they don't. Today, we've been doing the same stations for 3 days in a row because there's 10 stations. So I think today they were kind of over it. Mm-hmm. And so they weren't. Some groups were doing a good job and it's the same ones that were doing good, and then the other ones weren't doing so good, or maybe had 1 or 2 students who bought into it were trying, but a couple who really were trying to pull them up. So I find that right now to be a challenge. And again, that might be a result of them being in the same groups and doing the same 10, not same stations, they're getting a different one each time, but kind of, how it gets when you, after a while, things wear off.
Yeah, I hear you.
So
How about you, Rhonda?
Yeah, go ahead.
Rhonda?
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. I have been doing more pair work with mine, and I love it. I really love the rubric. I love that they are getting instant feedback on what I think they're doing, and it's funny because when I come around and I pick up the paper to start highlighting whatever circle I'm looking at, all of a sudden I hear them say, well, I think that, and then they'll, spout off something, and I know sometimes they weren't saying anything before I got there. So it's kind of funny how they're kicking in when I come around. But since most of what I'm doing right now is in pair work and not in a big group, I do think that I'm getting higher and better results than I would have if they had been in a group.
Okay. So that might be something that you want to try, is to see how it works then if you increase the numbers in the groups instead of just doing pairs.
Yes.
That might be something that
that's definitely something I want to look at. I have not. I know this week the rest of this week I probably won't, because I think we're going to do some games and stuff to review for the test. That we're taking our test on Friday, so that we can try to get it in before park.
Yeah, I know it's going to be kind of hard and challenging, but that might be just something that you can do since you'll have. Are you guys on a limited schedule? Like seeing some of your kids limited time? Yeah. So
yeah, but ours, from what I was listening to with you guys talking, ours is a little different than yours.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but we still are limited, definitely.
All right, Margie?
Well, I've been gone for the last 2 days and just got back today, so just trying to fix the errors that my sub taught, and there were a few. So we didn't do any group work today. I actually had some really nice activities I left him. But like I said, I'm not a math person, so asking him to evaluate their discussion probably wouldn't have worked anyway.
Yeah, probably not. It sounds like then maybe you have some backup plan for the next couple of weeks if you want to use it for your group work. You probably can, and then use it to assess. Yeah. Yeah. Hannah?
I think it's been going pretty well. The biggest challenge has been I always have 3 people on task in a group, and it's always just getting that 4th person to buy in. That 4th person always just tries to pull either his or her own group off task or the other group that's next to him. So that's been my biggest struggle in that class. I have a lot of behavior issues, so it's a little bit more of a challenge with that group. But otherwise, I think it's been a lot better.
Good. Well, and I think what comes to mind for me with your strategy is that just thinking that, are you specifically assigning some of those kids a role?
Yeah, every one of them has a role, and I've been using what you had suggested, which is assigning them a role for a week. So every time we start, even though I might not always pass out the cards, we'll raise our hands. Who's the task manager? What's your job? Who's the facilitator? What's your job? Just as a reminder. I guess the hard thing is some of the task managers are the quiet kids. So maybe in the future I'll start them off with a lighter role so that some kid who might take charge a little bit more could fulfill that role.
Right. And that's kind of, I think, was my thought was that if you have some kids that are troublesome, maybe if you give them the job as the task manager or the facilitator where they kind of have the bigger job, that maybe they would kind of own that job because they have an important role. Or maybe even when you're going around saying, okay, when I come around for your group, I want to know which one of these phrases that you use. I'm going to hear from you. Did you ask this question? You tell me which question that you use and kind of hold them accountable for doing that. Maybe that will work. So I've been using the group roles as well, and I'll tell you the two classes that I am not collecting data in, they are doing fantastic, and the class that I am collecting data in, they are not doing as great. However, I did do a true group project with them the other day and incorporated the roles, and it really went very well. I did capture some of it on video. I was kind of angry with myself because I didn't have my wits about me to collect data that day, but for the most part, they did a good job. So I'm hoping that either Friday or Monday, kind of doing something similar to that so that I can collect some data on a true group project because they're doing pretty well with it. I don't think I've reached my goal yet, but they're doing pretty good. So, the next step that we're going to want to do is then talk about how we're going to collect that data for the next time that we meet. So any different thoughts on how we might collect it, or anybody collecting it currently?
I know personally I haven't done the Post-it notes in the past, and last week when we had talked about it, I think I'm going to try the Post-it notes next week. I'll probably do it Friday or Monday before we test, because we're going to test next week too, and see if maybe that helps. And it's more, doing the tallies was a little bit hard, so maybe the Post-it notes will be easier.
Okay. Margie?
I probably will continue with the Post-it notes because they seem to work for me. I don't feel like I've overused them yet. I think I'm going to get to a point where, okay, the Post-it notes are kind of run their course, but I think I'm still okay because I might try another class too. Okay.
Rhonda?
I'm still using just a rubric, but I've been a lot tougher on them when I come around in order to get that 4. Like we talked about last week, they really, really have to be putting some serious thought into it and sharing and teaching the other person, as I come around and giving excellent feedback to each other. So I think I'm going to continue with that, and I might try the Post-it notes as well. They really seem to like them.
Yeah, they do. I think, especially at our grade level, I think they do buy into that, and I'm hoping that, at the upper grades that they will also enjoy seeing that on their desks. If you don't tell them what it is, they don't know what you're collecting data on, so that might be a good management piece as well. But I thought too that the Post-it notes were really, it really encouraged some of those kids when they saw that note going down that they knew that they had to pick up the pace somewhere along the lines. So I did that as well. So I'm going to continue to work with the Post-it notes. I'm hoping then to kind of more passively do that later on and just kind of maybe make tallies or just like listen in on the group conversation and see what I can get. So Sarah, how about you for the your data collection?
It's going pretty. Yeah, I finally came back. Sorry, my internet stinks right now. It's been going pretty well. I was using the sticky notes one day, and then another day I was just kind of marking it off, really trying to listen. I liked the sticky notes initially for the value of them seeing them right away and reacting, but then I noticed it was kind of the same kids always wanting to get almost in a competition of how many sticky notes they could get, and the quiet ones then were still really not adding much. So today I tried doing it more as a checking off and saying, I really like what you said there. I just gave you a mark. So I'm kind of still playing around with which method I like the best.
Okay. And have you collected data this week at all? Do you know?
Not great data.
Okay.
I wasn't happy with it. Again, the sticky notes I felt a little off with that, and then I was doing tally marks today, but I didn't bring it home with me.
Okay. And is everybody good with staying with their strategy for right now? We're good? Okay, and we'll look to maybe make a change, you know, in a couple weeks. I think that all of us still have a little bit of room to grow as far as our getting our kids, especially those quiet kids. So we really, if anybody comes up with a great technique for that, Sarah, I love the fact that you kind of validate them right away, and that might kind of, you know, when they say something, just at least validate what they're saying to see if you can get them to say some more. I think that's a really great idea to do. And then lastly, the TML sharing form, how is that going for everybody?
Were we supposed to fill that out for today?
No, for next week. Did you
Okay.
fill it out the last week?
Yes.
Okay. And you were able to collect an artifact?
Yes. I attached a piece of student work.
Oh, good. Okay. How about you, Rhonda?
Yes, I was able to upload last week. I attached my rubrics that I had been using and how I highlighted. So I did that last week. It took me a little bit of time. I'm not going to say it wasn't. And then I couldn't find where things were going, and that took me a little bit of time to find that too. So,
Okay.
But
you feel like the next time around it will be okay?
I hope so.
I'm with you on it, and I've been through this process a bunch of times, and I could not. I was like, okay, where did my work go? Because I just uploaded it somewhere. Somebody's looking at my kids doing something. So I'm with you on that one. It was a little challenging. So
then I ended up uploading it twice because I tried it 2 different ways, and the next thing I know, I saw them both on there. So I took one off, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see.
And everybody knows the protocol. You're supposed to like put your last name _ first name. Indian Trail, I don't know, something long like that, so it gets in the right spot. So I think we are under a new group.
Yes, we're a Plainfield group now.
Yeah, PLN or something like that, M or something. So just when you're in there. How about you, Margie? Were you able to get on that form?
I was going to take a picture and I forgot to do it before I came home, so I had ended up just putting a copy of what one side of my cards looked like. But I think I got it on there okay.
Okay. And Hannah?
Yeah, I uploaded a picture of my groups working.
Good. Okay. And then, I'm sorry, there's one more finally. The student voice, is anybody interested in doing that?
Is that the survey?
Mm-hmm.
I did do it, and I scanned it, but I haven't put it up yet. And I just had my whole class fill out the survey. They love that I'm taking information on them. So when I said, okay, here's this survey, and I explained to them exactly what it meant because they didn't really understand the meaning of the words in there. And they were all excited to write it down and send it in. So.
Well, that's exciting. I'm planning on doing it as well. I just have not gotten around to doing it. I just think it would be neat to hear from them and kind of get an idea of what they're thinking. So, Sarah, did you think that you might want to use that?
I would like to use that as well, yes.
Yeah, and Margie?
Time when we have to.
During the park test, so I might pull that out and take a few minutes during the park.
Okay. I'm sorry, Hannah, what were you saying?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a time when we have to have it done by? I mean, my pre-algebra class is testing next Wednesday just for their math outcome. So is it too late to do it then? Maybe as
I don't think so.
test?
I think that any time during this process, I mean, I might be corrected on that, but as far as I know, I would think during this process, just because, Rhonda, you did it. Did it look like it needed to be done like a before and after kind of thing?
It was just them, and it's very short. It's a very short survey. They were just saying how they felt they participated. So they ranked themselves on a 1 to 5 scale, and then they tell why they rank themselves that way, and how much participation they put in group work.
Okay. All right. Did that answer your question, Hannah? See, it sounds like you can give it to them anytime.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are there any last-minute questions? We good? Everybody knows we got to collect data by next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, so we have a little bit of time. Okay. All right. Well, have a nice evening.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night.